Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Our guest today is a true embodiment of innovation and determination. From his humble beginnings on a Nebraska farm to the cutting-edge corridors of Boeing, he has continuously pushed the boundaries of technology and business. As a CEO and co-founder of CloseBot, a premium AI agent builder platform tailored for marketing agencies, he has revolutionized how agencies interact with and qualify leads. His journey from an engineer to a pioneering entrepreneur in AI and CRM solutions is nothing short of inspiring. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Bryce DeCora from CloseBot.
Thank you so much. Great intro. I love it.
Great to have you, mate. I heard a lot about you. I've been hearing a lot about CloseBot, let me tell you.
We love that. That means we're doing our job. We just hired a marketing team, so it's working.
Excellent. Well done, mate. Well done. You know, you fit really, I think, pretty wide gap in the market when it comes to AI chatbots tools. There are a whole bunch of them. Obviously, we love HighLevel, and I love what you've done because, you know, I've been working on some pretty nuanced, let's call it that, nuanced projects for some businesses. And, you know, sometimes the out-of-the-box stuff just doesn't cut it. You just need something where you've got a little bit more control. And so I love what you've done.
Thank you.
Look, your journey. Let's talk about your journey first. Because, I mean, a lot of listeners, they may not know you. They may have heard about CloseBot, or may they've not heard about either. So we'll try and unpack that today for you guys listening. But Bryce, your journey from engineering to Boeing, launching an AI platform like CloseBot is fascinating. Could you share what pivotal moment led you to transition from an aerospace engineering to becoming a tech entrepreneur in the marketing agency space?
Yeah, of course. I think there are probably a few people listening that have a 9-to-5 and just looking to get out, looking for purpose. And I was in the same boat. I was a mechanical engineer at Boeing, first of all, not even a software developer, and decided really quickly that I did not like mechanical engineering. You know, you go to school 5 years, get a degree, and then you get a job and you find out you don't like it. It's kind of awful. I was in that boat. But I found some mentors while I was at Boeing that were kind enough to teach me about software. And then that became my obsession. So I ended up learning enough self-taught in a couple of years that I was hired into the software group that my mentors were in. And that was the start of my software development experience and AI experience at that job. But it was still corporate and I didn't want to be there. I saw my wife making more money than I was being a realtor. And I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to work for myself. I'm going to go try that. So I quit Boeing to work with my wife doing real estate. And I also found out I don't like sales. So not only did I not like corporate, I knew I didn't like sales. But I was out of Boeing.
Well, cross that off the list. What is there left to do? Tap into your skills and get nerdy.
I was really good at getting nerdy, and that's what I did. It got me in trouble with my wife because she was like, why aren't you, like, you need to be selling, you need to be door knocking, you need to be prospecting. And I'm like, yeah, but if I can do this cool tool to do it for me. And so she was frustrated. I was losing us money, just trying to do the tech side of things and automate. But
what, you're trying to automate stuff for real estate?
I was trying to automate sales. So we were doing cold outreach through texting. It's a lot more restricted now than it was before. But I was training my own LLM and building in my own algorithms to automate the sales process. And this was probably 5 years ago. So this was pre-ChatGPT.
The Jarvis was probably the only thing on the market we were all using. Or
Jasper. Yeah, I was training my own. So yeah, it was much harder.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, I can't even fathom how. Yeah, I don't program that stuff. I know. Yeah. So, mate, well, okay. Well, you've come a long way from shoving shit on the farm.
Yeah, I guess there's that too. Before I went to Boeing, I grew up on the farm. My parents are like, they were so proud when I ended up at Boeing. So I was
Oh, I bet.
unhappy being at corporate, but for them, like their son went to engineering school, graduated, worked at Boeing. They thought I was stupid for leaving Boeing. But yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah. And well, look at Boeing now, right? They're struggling.
Yeah. So even that's what I like to tell people, even like it's a risk leaving a job and going out on your own, but I probably would have gotten laid off anyway. So either way, it's risky. Might as well take a risk that you care about.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to do what fulfills you the most. And it's not going to be an easy journey, but, we're all here running our businesses, have bright minds and bright ideas and trying to make it work. And, this journey is a journey where you got to build thick skin, and it's a journey of resilience. And I don't want to talk about my journey, but, I want to share that for you guys listening. If you're at the beginning of this journey and it's not quite working out yet, and maybe not making enough money or whatever, just hang in there, because as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and you're passionate, awesome stuff will happen. Like,
Awesome stuff, just incredible stuff.
Incredible stuff. So many opportunities with HighLevel, by the way.
You have to make sure you're doing. Like a lot of people feel like they're doing, but they're actually planning. I've been a really good doer, and it gets you in trouble sometimes. You fail, you lose money faster, you fail faster, but doing and failing teaches you so much more than just like studying and analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah. So I used to go to a lot of webinars and just thinking I keep educating myself, and then maybe that was the imposter syndrome, where I thought, I don't know enough, and then you actually don't realize, but you put yourself in the student mode consistently, so you actually never tap in to your knowledge that is sitting between your ears. And it's amazing what happens when you put all the education aside for the minute, and after you've maybe you've studied a little bit, but like, all right, put it aside, and now actually apply it, and then things starts to rev up, things starts to happen. So there's something to say about that. Yeah, so I 100% agree with you. The other one is perfection. Try not to be perfect before you launch. We had an episode with Ryan and Emily. We talked about it 2 episodes back, I think, episode 52. And I fall into that category. I'm super OCD. I'm a Virgo, so Virgos like to be very organized and have we don't like when somebody says embrace chaos. That doesn't fly with me. So I'm unfortunately, I'm that case where I like to be really, really perfect and then kind of launch. But yeah, it's to my detriment, right? Certain things I could have launched a lot earlier, maybe with more of a skateboard, and I would have been way ahead making money. Because you hear some SaaSpreneurs, they just go one lane, nothing else, and they are already at a diamond SaaSpreneur award and things like that. So yeah, I'm it's a mindset shift.
Yeah, it is. It's hard too. No one likes to be shit at things, and when you start and doing, you're not going to be good. You're going to make mistakes. But even if you study for forever and then eventually you start doing, you're still going to be shit. Like, you got to just start doing stuff.
Yeah. There's a fine balance though, because when it comes to like your phases of like innovation and growth in business, at the beginning, like no perfection, just get it out and then innovate with a feedback loop with your customers, so that way you got money coming in. But that only works to a certain point, right? At some point you kind of move to the next phase, which is now you've validated the offering. You go to the next phase, you start to sort of scale up a little bit. Now it's less room for error. You kind of have to start to be a bit better, right? But then now you've got customers, so it's like, well, now you go,
very like so many fewer get to that stage.
Right. Well, you've gotten to that stage. So let's talk about that journey. Like ultimately, when you decided, when you were working with your wife and you were trying to optimize the sales, so that tells me that you are a very system-oriented person, and you're trying to optimize things. How did you then decide to Well, launch CloseBot. When that happened? When did that happen?
Yeah, I'm a very system-oriented person too, and I'm a perfectionist. But the market crashed. And so not only was I bad at sales and bringing in very little sales, but the market crashed and then I was bringing in nothing. And so was my wife. But I had this tech stack that I built for myself and it was all I had. So I was like, maybe I can sell this to people that are still making it in real estate. And I found a few people that were willing to buy, pay monthly, and they were just using it as an API. They were more of developers themselves. But then enough people started asking about Go High Level. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if it works with Go High Level. Go figure it out. But then enough people asked that I was like, okay, maybe I'll check this out. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to latch onto this and I'm going to make it for High Level. And I did. And that's when I started getting more and more users. And then I couldn't be a perfectionist anymore because, I mean, you know, the High Level community, they just kept asking for things and asking, and they wanted it yesterday. And the only way to keep these customers is to just constantly push code. And if you're not pushing, they're churning. And you don't want them to churn. I didn't want them to churn more than I wanted it to be perfect. So it forced me to put out product as fast as possible and not necessarily be perfect at that early stage.
Yeah. And look, I mean, there's a lot to say about that approach. I mean, the platform that we all love, High Level, it's a testament to that. It's always a skateboard. I mean, it's always a skateboard first in mind. Always keep releasing. You get these cool videos with Ryan and Chase every week, right? 30 new feature upgrades, innovations. It's just mind-boggling. But now they're at the point where they, almost like taking head-to-head on HubSpot, head-to-head on Salesforce at a much more competitive proposition. So it's an approach that really works, and more and more I'm seeing it more and more. I'm entrenched in the whole high level ecosystem. More I'm realizing that's honestly a business model that is applicable to any business that wants to like be profitable and like scale and just So it's a mindset shift, getting used to not being perfect. Constantly rolling out. So that means you got to be comfortable with understanding there's going to be bugs, and then some people will be annoyed by it. But I think the transparency is key in that process. Then, like communicating frequently, making everybody.
And I think that's helped me too. I've been upfront and transparent with people. I used to do live videos every day where I would talk about issues we're going through and what we're doing to fix them. And I think that helped. I think we did that for about a year.
Yeah. So let's just do a quick elevator pitch for the guys listening that have never heard about CloseBot. What is unique about CloseBot? What does it do? Yeah, can you unpack that?
Yeah, of course. So it's an AI agent builder specifically designed for agencies that want to rebill and make crazy profit on selling lead qualification and booking agents to businesses. What sets us apart is that we are a very low prompt system. You use our drag and drop builder to build these, we're calling them AI job flows now for your agents to perform. And then you can easily deploy them and monitor them and rebill for them through our platform. So make it as easy as possible to make money selling AI.
And what's cool about that is because you got it's almost like when you're building a workflow. So it's visual and you put steps and then go from here to this step. It's almost like it's got guardrails. That's what I like about it. As opposed to like when you create a script, then you're hoping that the script is good enough, so then that will kind of guide the bot the right way where you want it to go and how the conversation should go. So that's pretty cool.
And even people that think they're prompt experts aren't prompt experts. Like I'm reading the white papers from Anthropic and OpenAI, and there's so much behind the scenes, and people think they're prompting the right way, but they're not. But the way we've built it, it leaves the expert level prompting up to our team. And you just drag and drop the components around fill in the fields, especially with V2.
You just rolled it out.
Yeah, we have about 60 people in it right now, and we're letting more people in starting this next week. So the goal is to shut off the V1 sign-up page by the end of May. And
Right.
so everyone signing up would be in V2.
Let's talk about the V2 then. So what's different? What have you done?
In V1, we have one type of drag and drop component that's called an objective. An objective means, hey, at this point, I want you to try to get this information and update this field. Well, in our V2 right now, we have something like 20 different action types you can click and drag to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a Go High Level workflow builder, but built specifically for AI agents. So imagine you want to get someone's first name, last name, email address, and phone number. You could have one action doing all that. And then maybe if their phone number starts with the area code 308, you want to do certain objectives. And otherwise, if it doesn't start with that area code, do other objectives. Maybe you want to book to certain calendars depending on whether they're using a Gmail or a business email, or determining whether they're a buyer or seller in real estate, and route to different calendars if they're a buyer or a seller, different routing things.
So conversations are not linear. Case in point,
Right.
This podcast, I'm shifting my questions around as we're talking because I want it to have a good flow. Conversation with an AI working for a particular business has these objectives, but oftentimes it's not linear, right? It might not be the right time to ask for that right now, might be later. How do you, if you're programming that bot with all these different objectives, how do you then, like, does it have the ability to then like be smart enough to decide which way to guide the conversation so it's kind of feels more human-like?
Yeah, just like how like you have a main objective, you have a main flow you're going with, but if something happens, you may want to jump into a different sort of flow. We have these things called scenarios, which will allow the AI to jump between different flows if it detects something's happening. A good example would be, on our homepage, we have an AI that gets your first name, last name. We need it to do that. And then it's just there to banter back and forth, answer questions. But if it detects that you want to book an appointment for a demo, it'll get the CRM you're using and then conversationally book you for a demo call. That's kind of how our brains function. And that's why we've built CloseBot that way too.
Yeah. And I just lost my train of thought. That was a really good question. All right, let me think. With that, if I'm talking to a bot, and obviously this is all chat, right? There's no voice, right?
Not yet.
No, not yet. There you go. If I'm talking to a bot, and let's say it's through a chat widget on the website, if I put my details, because like the traditional chat widget bot from HighLevel, it's depends how you configure it, but the older way was you got to put your details in there first, and then it starts the conversation. So let's go with that scenario. Does the CloseBot bot know or can reference other pieces of data from the CRM based on the fact that it knows that, well, this mobile number exists, again, this contact? And let me explain it this way. So I built a couple of custom fields based on what I've learned from some of the good people in the community when it comes to training voice AI, right? So the fundamental basics are have a custom field to capture call transcript, have a custom field to capture call summary, have a custom field to capture and call that one call summaries. So it's kind of appends the previous one to all the other ones. You inject all that into the prompt, so that way there's a reference. So that way you call in next time, you don't have that shitty experience of like when you call in a call center for your subscription for telcos, and then somebody in a different country with a terrible accent that you kind of half hear, half understand. You are having to explain to them what the issue is, and then they transfer you through to somebody else, and they don't actually pass on that information. So then you're like, oh my God,
Explain it all over again.
I cannot. AI is pretty good at being able to reference it. Can CloseBot do that?
Yeah, it can read any of your fields. And then optionally, if you want it to skip any information that it already has, like say you've told it to get the name, email, phone number, and it sees it already has that information, it can skip that information too and cut straight to the chase and book a meeting, for example.
Yeah, beautiful. So what are some things that people may not know about programming, like proper chatbot solution for a client, for a business? What are things that they should consider that maybe not so common?
I think people should think about how natural human conversations go. Like if a lead is on your website and you want them to book a time with you, if that is the main goal, but you've given the AI all this stuff it's supposed to collect before it can book a call, you're just adding so much friction to that lead that really just wants to pay you money. So when you're setting up these systems, think about the minimum amount of stuff you need to gather to allow them to book the call. And then all that other stuff that's like a nice to have, do that after. So with ours, and I don't know how it is with other systems, we could get someone's first name, last name, email, book a call, and then get their reason for wanting to join the gym and how much weight they want to lose and their spouse's name, whatever other information, after we've done the primary thing, which is book a time.
So you obviously tested this, and there's a reason why you're doing it in this order.
Yeah, and we allow you to do anything. You can build whatever AI systems you want with us. So some people build CloseBot agents that are amazing, and other people build CloseBot agents that aren't so amazing. Just like there are good salespeople and bad salespeople. You have the power to build it how you want. We've just seen the ones that do this method perform way, way better, book way more appointments.
What about if you wanted to add some like a border, like a gateway? So, like, I'm leading towards like a topic of lead qualification here. So on the website, you might not want to be able to offer anybody to book a call. Let's say if you're that type of business that has a large volume and has a lot of tire kickers, and you want to weed those out. So you might want to have a bot that answers lots of questions, asks a lot of questions as well to qualify. And then depending on, how they answer, might then say, okay, well, look, yeah, great. Looks like this might not be for you, whatever. Here are some links to resources, and kind of like ping them away. Vice versa, if they're good, then that can rev up that next flow where it's booking them in.
Yeah, and that's where that branching stuff really comes in handy. Because if we've determined they're not a good lead, we can simply shut the AI off. Maybe have it send a link to somewhere else first and then shut itself off. Or if they do qualify, have it conversationally book that meeting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on building multiple bots with different purposes for a business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It depends. With CloseBot Classic, what we're calling it now, the V1, anytime you wanted to branch to do something else, it had to be a different bot. With this version, it doesn't. So it makes more sense to change to a different bot when it would be like a different person in your organization doing this thing. For example, we have a support team and we have a sales team. That takes very different people. You wouldn't want to have one AI agent doing your sales and your support. Typically, you want to break them up into two, and they'd have different tones to how they respond, maybe different resources they pull from. And that's what we do at CloseBot too. We use CloseBot for our lead qualification. And then once you log in and access our support system, we use Intercom's support AI for our support because it's built for support. Ours is built for lead qualification and booking.
Right. Okay. I like that. So one for support, and once they become a customer, have another one for onboarding. You could actually even might be a case in point where you've got a in betweener, you've got one for onboarding, and then you've got an ongoing support one, right? Okay, so because I'm looking at obviously HighLevel has the capability to add, create different bots, and then have different. You can control it through workflows, like when you turn that one off and then switch on that one. But there's a lot of
it gets crazy.
It can get really complex really, really soon.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you might start getting into the world of, well, I've got voice AI as well, and how do I make them transfer between that and that? And then when outbound comes in, how do I then plug in an outbound and
And all of that added complexity is just extra areas where things can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've set it up perfectly, sometimes there's latency in systems that don't trigger things at the right times. Maybe it takes 5 seconds to trigger something instead of 1 second, and that can throw off your whole flow. And then you're troubleshooting this thing that's not actually broken. It just didn't work that one time because of something out of your control.
Or something on like the infrastructure crashed.
Yeah. That's another thing with the second version of CloseBot. We not only allow OpenAI and Anthropic, but also DeepSeek, Gemini, and Grok. And you can set a fallback cadence. So if one goes down, you're still in business.
Beautiful. Does that mean when I sign up to CloseBot, that I need to sign up to all those platforms to then add my open API to for all those?
If you have a single business plan, we cover that cost for you. If you're on the agency plan, any one of those systems you want to use and rebill, you put in your own key. You don't have to put all of them in, just whichever ones you want to use.
Right, but more of them you plug in, as stronger the redundancy you create.
Yeah.
Is there big differences? So let's say you got is that a hierarchy that you can control, or do you guys control that? Like which one is it going for?
Yeah, you can order them.
Right. And obviously if OpenAI one drops and then it say defaults, for example, to Anthropic one, are there big differences in then like how that what then continues?
I like Anthropic's responses a lot. It's much more conversational, feels natural. But OpenAI is better at like pulling out information and updating fields.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a give and take. And not only that, but they're always changing.
Oh yeah, that's a whole. I mean, this is a whole another topic. I mean, how fast all this is changing, and how much unknown there is, and
right.
how still very new this is, and we are all excited like kids on the playground, right? Trying to figure out.
OpenAI just released a model and had to roll it back.
Yeah, right.
Did you see that?
When was that?
I think they just rolled it back maybe yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
It was better in certain areas, but it was very prone to, I don't know how you pronounce it. I've only typed it, psychophancy, maybe, which is being very agreeable to people that it sees in a high position. So if you are prompting it and you set yourself up as something that it wants to impress, it is going to be more likely to lie to you to make you feel better.
Oh, that's not good.
So they rolled it back. Yeah, that's obviously not good. So people were...
Well, let me put it back. That's not good unless you're like super egocentric person. I mean, we all have about our ego, but like,
it's so dangerous because people ask it about their business ideas, Hey, do you think this business idea is a good idea? And it would be like, I think it's an amazing idea. I think you're 2 years ahead of the curve. I think you should do this now and throw everything into it before the competitors catch wind of what you're doing. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. And actually, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing that they've rolled it back. Yeah. Just on that topic of redundancies, I had another follow-up question from that. So you got these redundancies, one falls, the next one continues on. But what happens halfway through? So if the bot was already halfway through a conversation and that happens, how does, say, Anthropic reference and has an understanding of what's been said so far?
Yeah, it hands off everything that's been said so far. And that's like the really complex stuff that we handle that you don't have to. Yeah, everything hands off seamlessly. And maybe you want to check to see how Anthropic compares to OpenAI. We have these things called personas. Mm-hmm. That's like the person that you're hiring for the job that needs to be done. you can have different personas doing the same job to see which one drives higher conversions.
It's like kind of like a split testing, yeah.
Yeah. Marketers love A/B tests. So maybe I have a really gentle and kind bot as my receptionist, but I want to see if maybe Snoop Dogg would be a better voice style. I can see if Snoop
market,
Dogg, maybe Snoop Dogg books more appointments than Martha Stewart. Like, I can check that.
That's fun. Well, let's talk business models. So, how many business models are there that you've seen people are utilizing with CloseBot?
Well, there's the high setup fee, high monthly cost, low setup fee, low monthly cost. Those are like the primary ones, and then a mixture between. Some people have a low setup fee and high monthly cost, high setup fee, low monthly cost. I've seen people perform better charging more, whether that be a combination of high setup fee to add friction, make sure that your customers really bought in.
Yeah.
And some people are charging high usage.
Oh, really?
I think what businesses want is they only want to pay if they're using it. People have been inundated with all these SaaS platforms, and they don't want to add another subscription. Mm-hmm. So these marketing agencies that are maybe having a setup fee and then no monthly cost, but then charging usage, are doing well, because if the business is not using it, they're not paying. The business likes it, and then the agency knows it's going to work. So they know the usage is going to ramp up, and they oftentimes end up getting more money in the long run doing that when that's an activated client that can't cancel because it's working, and they're accruing all these usage fees.
Until the client realizes I'm paying so much on rebuilding, where this other competitor I could pay, 4 times less. Right? So that could also, because if they grow so much, they're going to be so much volume. Well, it could happen too, right? There's, pros and cons to everything.
Depends. Like, I use a service, for example, that was a $0 upfront, and how we handle our billing for CloseBot, it was free up to us billing $100,000 through their platform. Right. And then it's a usage based. So now we're paying, I think, $4,000 a month for their platform, but I can never get off it because it's set up, so sticky, it's working.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the model.
I can never leave. And I've seen how much money it makes me. So if they see how much money it's making them, hopefully it's making them considerably more money than the usage is costing them. And it'd be more work, more energy, and more of their time, money conversion to leave and do something else.
It's a business model where you are willing to put skin in the game,
right?
And you really need to know the market when you go down that way, because that could really quickly turn against them if nobody reaches their thresholds.
Yeah.
Okay. And so scalability wise, let's talk agency, because we've got lots of agencies listening, SaaSpreneurs listening, and we know that AI right now, it's massive opportunity. Like, I speak to so many people, they are selling AI agents like hotcakes. It's works, crazy works. Same for chatbots, right? So scalability wise, what are the infrastructures with CloseBot to be able to, if I sign up 100 sub accounts today and they all want CloseBot, if they are same industry, well, I could think, that would be probably easier, right? Because you can snapshot things.
We don't even work with workflows in the V2. So you would connect CloseBot to your agency account.
Like at the agency level, yeah.
And you can automatically turn it on for all of those sub-accounts and tell it which agent you want them to connect to, and they can all be connected just like that. And it can even automatically connect new sub-accounts without you having to do anything.
Well, what about the prompting? Well, I don't know, you don't do the prompting, but you still have to give it some information about the business. Does it pull it through an API about, like, how you got the settings of the sub-account location? Does it pull it from there?
We have searchable variables in our builder. So if you want to reference the business name instead of like hard typing in the business name, you could pull It's
curly bracket, custom
yeah, but
field.
it's searchable, so you don't have to like remember or copy and paste it. You can search for the variables that you can use and use variables instead of typing in stuff.
It's searchable through an API call, so it knows what are those fields in high level, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. And one of the big one is like you're trying to educate it about your client's business. Could you just do a URL link and it'll actually do its own work to
Yeah, the
learn?
business owner can even log in through their own portal that you provide and upload their own information.
Do DIY, do it yourself, DIY.
Yeah, so you can provide it. You can even rebill on that seat. So if they want to be able to log in and upload their own stuff, they have to pay you for that. That's another way you get to make money. And it's easier.
Really productized. Very scalable. I like it. And that's good because that gives you flexibility where, you've got a wrench, you got really tiny micro business owner. They don't really have much money. They might probably have more time. All right, well, that's for you, Mr. Wannabe business owner. And on the other scale, you got somebody really big business. They want something super sophisticated. Cha-ching, big ticket. And you go through the whole, let's do discovery. Let's do strategy. Let's map it all out. Make it all visually, show them the big picture. And then obviously a big price tag and then go and develop.
Yeah.
And then in between, you might have do with you and whatever. Okay, cool.
Talking about the differences between V1 and V2, that's a lot of where the work went into on V2 as well. How do we make this scalable? How do we make this easy for the agency owner?
Right. To cover for all these different business model options. Okay, great. I love it. So what else can we talk about when it comes to CloseBot? Is there something that hasn't been said?
I mean, one of the other ways this is different, we've built it to be multi-platform. So HighLevel is amazing. We love HighLevel. Some people don't have HighLevel. Maybe they have HubSpot and they don't want to switch. You still want to be able to sell them AI, but with CloseBot V1, you can't because we don't integrate with HubSpot. This next version will roll out with both HubSpot and HighLevel integration. And then we're just going to keep adding as many as we can. So eventually, no matter what system the business is in, if they already have a CRM, you can sell them AI agents that work.
That's excellent because, as much as we all love HighLevel, unfortunately, CRMs are sticky as hell.
Yeah.
And more entrenched business is with that CRM. A lot harder it's going to be to make them want to switch over to HighLevel. So then you don't want to make that a deal breaker, right? If you're in the business of helping people, then you'd want to help them anyway. So it's good to know that, okay, well, yeah, this is an opportunity. Well, the option still exists. How we can, Mr. Customer, how we can build you a custom bot or voice AI or whatever. Okay, great. One thing, let's talk some case studies.
Yeah.
So you don't have to share numbers, but I mean, unless you want to.
Okay.
Well, then share away. How many agencies using HighLevel are you helping?
We have a few thousand, I'll say that. And from all those, because as you know, they have multiple businesses, it's about 40,000 businesses. We're booking about one appointment every 45 seconds across all of our users.
Wow.
Just crazy.
That's nuts. How do you sleep at night? That's massive responsibility.
We've built things really well. Even the V1 architecture is really well built, so it can handle big scale. V2 is built even stronger. We're building more for an eventual enterprise type scale with V2.
Mm-hmm.
So there are fallbacks in place. There are multiple checks and balances. We have our fallback models. So we really don't experience downtime right now.
Yeah, because I mean, God forbid, right? You get a big enterprise client. They're running a multi-million business. They're relying on this. This shit goes down. They lose a lot of money.
Right.
And you're
every minute they're losing money.
What's the word? You're up the shit creek.
Yeah.
Back to shoveling shit.
Right. I don't want that.
No. Yeah, wow. Okay. So a lot of agencies. That's a massive model. So yeah, all right, well done. That's exciting. So what are some like unique case studies that you've seen that are not super common, but like an agency owner using GHL, how they've decided to use it, and
We have everything. We have all the standard ones, chiropractors, dentists, roofers, but there was one that was a traveling circus, one that was doing hypnosis therapy, one that was a coach on how to convince your spouse to be open to an open marriage.
Yeah, right.
So all kinds of stuff. I mean, if there are sales or appointments involved, it's doing it. I guarantee it.
Or qualification questions to collect
Right.
a particular thing and then save it. And you can save to any field, right?
Yeah.
Custom fields, all that.
Uh-huh.
Is there restrictions? I know like text box fields work okay. Radio fields can be a problem. Is that such a thing?
All good. Any of them.
Yeah, right.
Date fields. Yeah.
And then referencing it back to a conversation so it can pull data from it as well, not just input. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What if? Yeah, no. Okay.
I love this. You're digging in.
Yeah, I am. So you use HighLevel yourself?
We are in HighLevel right now. Tomorrow we're doing our migration to HubSpot.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you were talking
we
about
didn't expect that one on this podcast.
difficulties, yeah, and nothing against HighLevel. It's built for marketing agencies and typical businesses, chiropractors, roofers, a typical business. It's not built for a medium and large scale SaaS company. They constantly put out features that don't apply to me. Whereas HubSpot puts out features for software companies.
Okay.
And so their focus is on people like me and not figuring out a way to get services in calendars or have multi-day bookings for people who want to do Airbnb through it. We don't care about that. And anytime they release a feature like that, it tends to break other things. And at our scale, we can never have things break.
That's interesting. I mean, it is a solid platform for all the different use cases. So as an agency, yeah, right. So
and it was great for us too. From a cost perspective alone, costs and features, you can't beat it. I mean, $400 a month for the ability to spool up sub accounts and do anything you want. Can't beat that. We're paying more than 10 times that now with HubSpot.
Yeah, but I bet you would, yeah.
So as a startup, you just can't do that.
Yeah. So guys, if you're listening, this is not trying to get you to switch, because unless you're in,
please don't.
You're gonna be in a world of pain.
It doesn't make sense for pretty much anyone to switch out of HighLevel.
Yeah.
Very few. I'm not an agency owner myself.
Exactly, yeah. You're running a software company, actual proper software company, not us pretending to run a software company.
Well, you're not pretending.
No, not pretending, but you know what I mean. Like we are. So let me take it back. We are running software companies. We are, but we are not. Well, we're helping local businesses, and they have varied needs. Yes. So we need a Swiss knife. That's what HighLevel is. And that's yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of questions, but before we get out to that, I want to close this bit of the chat about CloseBot. Do you have like an elevator pitch in terms of the opportunity that CloseBot provides in terms of how much money can people potentially make with this? How much they should, what is like a recommended pricing? How much they should be selling for? And this is more talking to some of the agencies that are sort of just entering the space, or they may not know about this opportunity, but they know that they really need to do something, because AI and voice AI chatbots is people jumping on it like hotcakes, like I said earlier.
Yeah, pricing varies drastically depending on how much value you're bringing. For example, a roofer does roofs that cost an average of maybe $10,000 per job. And if they're on a roof, they're missing calls. So a good way to go about it is to calculate about how many calls or missed opportunities they have and what the average close rate of a job is if they were to pick up a phone and how much that leads to income. So, for example, let's say they miss an average of 6 calls a week and they're hitting a 30% close rate. 30% of 6, that's about 2, right? So that's $10,000 per job. That's $20,000 that they've missed out on.
In a single week.
In a week. So, times 4, $80,000. Plus that allows them to scale. If they had $80,000 extra dollars a month, they can now scale their vans, scale their team. So you're providing a ton of value to these people and you shouldn't sell yourself short. I'd say, if you calculated in a month what you could bring them at scale and do 10% of that as a sign-up fee, so $8,000 in a setup fee, and then maybe $800 a month, that'd be an easy way to do it.
Yeah. I love that because that way, like you start with them, they're not starting with you, like how much does it cost? Because if you didn't do any of this and just give them the price, they got nothing to assess it on. It's just a number. Oh, that's an expense. So by going in reverse, okay, Mr. Customer, hang on a minute before I let you know the number. I want to know that you understand the opportunity. And that's a totally fair thing to say. Totally logical. Nobody's going to say, oh. If they're like that, well, that's not your customer anyway.
Yeah. Like, would it be crazy to first calculate how much money I plan to make you? Let's just calculate that first. Okay, X, Y, Z. Okay, so I plan, if those facts you told me are correct, Mr. Roofer, I plan to make you $80,000 a month extra. Can you verify those are correct facts you told me? You're missing 6 calls a week on average. You close 30% of them, and it's $10,000 a job. Yes. Okay, well, would it be crazy for this to cost $8,000 in setup? That's just one time, and then $800 a month to be making $80,000 extra dollars a month.
Yeah. You have to be really stupid not to say yes.
Right. Right.
The only reason you say no to that is if you literally don't have that money, but that means you're not established business yet, in which case you could just get a loan. I don't know. How serious are you? Like, are you a hobbyist or are you a serious
and that's
business
okay.
owner, right?
They're just not your customer yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not yet. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Mr. Customer, not a problem. Let me show you what else we can do for the minute. Maybe reputation management, automate that. You know, that can still help you. And then when you're ready, yeah. Because the tricky thing in there would be like, because, we're, at least me, like because, I've built everything ground up, right? Bootstrap it, right? So you have compassion. So it's easy to sometimes feel like, I just feel like I want to help them anyway. I'm going to do a deal for them. But then is that a good thing for your business?
And you can kind of feel it out. There are people that do like no obligation type stuff. Like, let me prove it out for you first. Some people do that. But there are so many tire kickers. You just don't want to risk like getting 10 people to say yes to you building out systems for free. And then turns out they don't actually bring in any leads. And then you did all this work and you weren't spending time selling to people that are actually your customer because you were dealing with these people that are actually just tire kickers. Feel it out.
Yeah. All right. Bryce, let's do the pitch. Guys, I love you guys following this podcast, listening to the show. This means a world to me, and I try and always give back when I can. And these guests that we interview on the show, they're amazing. They have amazing businesses and amazing offers. Same goes for Bryce with CloseBot. And so before we jumped on, I asked him, "Hey, can we do a deal?" Because I like to look after my audience, and so we did. Bryce, Do you want to pitch it?
Yeah. So you guys are catching us at the perfect time because our prices haven't gone up to account for the V2, and you negotiated an amazing deal for your audience. So with the V2 coming out and everything, we are doing up to $300 off your first payment. And it was the code HLXP at checkout. If you select our super plan, that's $397 a month if you pay monthly. And that gets you $300 off that first $397. Huge. It's like a 17% discount if you pay annually after June 1st. But if you catch this before June 1st, you could get our highly discounted annual rate that's like 40% off.
Right, because the prices hasn't gone up yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could potentially get like the best deal ever by using this code.
And you could time it, right? So you could go out, start prospecting on the day one.
Yeah.
You could even time it where you don't sign up for this yet. You know the deadline when the V2 is going to change. So you go and prospect, pitch everybody, hey, let me build you this. Then jump on this deal. Get them all signed up. And then you're already making money. So the next month you start to charge.
Here's the crazy thing. Two things. We have a free plan. So you could go find someone and build them an AI that works on the free plan for free. You know, we even include some messages on that. So you could get it all started and sold for free and then upgrade. Or if you do the annual plan, you get 3 weeks free before we bill your card, just to make sure it's right for you.
Right. So you've got to wait. You got to wait to cancel if it doesn't work out.
Totally.
Before you get charged for the annual. Yeah. Right. There you go. What do you got to lose? I don't think you can lose on this.
Extra revenue is what you have to lose.
Oh yeah, missed opportunity if you don't do that. Right. There we go. Flip the script. I like that. All right. So guys, you got the deal. $300 off. Promo code HLXP. I mean, I'm sold, so I'll be doing it. And also just because I'm a freaking nerd, so I like to tinker with stuff. But that's me. Don't do it just because you're a nerd. Do it because the business opportunity is too huge to pass on. That's what it is. So head over to highlevelexperience.com/CloseBot. You will get to a page that I'll build, and there's going to be more information about this opportunity. And then you can click through. Full disclosure, I do use my affiliate link. I would be stupid not to. And I recommend that you guys as well, if you have an audience, you're providing value, why not do the affiliate link? I mean, we're all in it to have a lifestyle as well, right? So full disclosure, it's an affiliate link. But the deal is there. HLXP, use that promo code, get a deal, get on CloseBot, and start helping businesses in your area with something so like it's incredible leverage for any business. We talked about that roofer thing, 20K jobs, they're missing 2 jobs a week. 10K jobs, sorry. Anyway, do it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Back to you. I've got a couple of rapid fire questions about high level, and I don't know if I should ask you those because, now that you're going away.
No, go for it. I love high level.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. It's not that you don't have a beef, right? Well, on that note, we have another segment, but what about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was there like something specific or a problem you were trying to solve?
I'm a bit different because the only reason I ended up in high level was because so many people wanted me to integrate with high level.
Yeah.
And so it was never so hard to understand how it works too, because I had never heard of white labeling. I didn't know what high level was. I didn't know what a marketing agency was. So I learned a lot in a short amount of time integrating with them.
Did you get tempted at any point to maybe I want to start my own SaaS as well, like another business?
I didn't have time to even think about it because we were growing. And I was like working 13-hour days fixing broken code. So,
Yeah, right. Are you still working 13-hour days?
No, it's very reasonable now. I'm in the office probably 6.5 or 7 hours a day. But then when I'm at home, I'm constantly like checking the group and networking with people through DMs. So, and I don't do any code anymore. We have people much smarter than me doing the code for this big update we have. So
How
it's
big
better.
is your team?
We have 13 full-time like US-based people right now, and then I think 7 full-time support staff in the Philippines. So probably about 20.
That's solid. You're keeping it really like tight knit, very organized. I was expecting a higher number, so well done.
Yeah, you can run with a smaller team in software.
Be really lean,
automate
really
things and have good operations.
Well, it's a code, right? You just do it once, you build it once, and then that code's working, and then you add to it. But it's like concreting. I used to do concreting, and I used to live in Scotland. Do 200 cubes of concrete, lay out these big farm sheds, and then we would be there. I was part of the crew that would get there on these power floats, these things that polish the concrete.
Yeah.
So we'd be doing like 20. If it was raining and there was no roof, well, you got to be there until the concrete like smooth like a mirror surface and dry it, right? But you leave, done.
And then it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, so that's exciting. Now I've noticed, and you guys not seeing it because you might be listening on the audio, but Bryce, you're wearing something around your neck, and I think I know what it is.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm thinking it is?
It's a plod pin.
Plot pin, yeah.
Yeah, so I use it when I'm either in the car or at home or walking around. If I have an idea that should be a blog or a social post or something that I want my marketing team to take in, cut up, and put out there, I just record on here. I just push it. It starts recording, and then I can stop it, and it automatically gets sent to my phone, where it'll do the summary of the transcript, and then I have an automation set up. When the summary's done, it actually moves it over to ClickUp, which is our team management platform, and creates a task for our marketing team to take that summary and start cutting it up and deploying it onto our social channels.
Straight up.
Yeah.
No approval needed.
No.
Wow. So it's working. So it's not buggy. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I've been
forever.
Yeah, I've been eyeing it out for a while because I do a lot of one-to-one. The BNI, and you got meetings. People tell you stuff. Well, on that note, though, like you're not using it that way, so it'd be interesting to hear from somebody who is using it that way. How do you disclose that to people? Because you could be, well, I'm not gonna, but then that's not a good thing, especially if you're planning to. I don't know. Yeah, interesting one. Nevertheless, very powerful feature.
Yeah.
So I'll be checking it out. So it's called plot pin, guys. If you don't know what we're talking about here, it's a device. I think because you could like use your phone and stuff, right? But I think what's powerful about it is like the convenience of it. It's just press.
Yeah.
Go.
Right. Yeah, they have the app, and you can record just on the app too. So if I didn't mind, I could pull up my phone, do the same sort of thing. It would do the summary. But this is cool. Because then if my phone's not nearby too, it'll send it to my phone when I'm close to my phone.
Later, so it's got an internal memory.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Hey guys, by the way, this is not planned. This is not like a secret plug for plot. Literally, now that I speak of it, I might put it in the show notes and see if I can find their affiliate link.
Right.
Anyway, I'll definitely check it out because I've been doing a lot of these one-to-ones, and like especially with clients, like potential clients, like they want to meet for coffee because somebody else referred them. But I want to actually capture all the nuances about their business because A, I'm a nerd, and B, if I'm trying to sell them on a bigger, do the strategy, paid strategy onto like a high ticket development stuff, I need to know all the little detail.
Yeah.
And what is not good is to then follow up meeting with them and asking them questions about information they already provided. That's kind of that's not really good. So,
and it'll come up with like to-do items. So it'll give you the summary and any to-do items that came up. And then something cool that I don't use because I don't even look at it, but it'll give you a map, a thought map. So it'll show you like, okay, you talked about this thing and there was these 3 things. And then this was another topic with these 2 subtopics and these 4 subtopics. Like you can click and see the map of your conversation. That's really cool.
Yeah, right. That's actually, yeah, because the way I develop custom builds is the first part of the process. I use ClickUp too, right? I use the whiteboard, right? So I usually go in 2 phases. I go information gathering phase, and then do all the different branches and bubbles, and because it's visually mapped out. And then I've got the system design phase, where I map out what would the ideal pipeline be like, what would be the ideal stages, what would be the ideal lead sources, lead magnets, ideal follow-up nurtures, are they nuanced, not whatever.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. And a big one is also I map out the data, like all the different custom fields I'd need to create for this particular business, all that. Yeah, that's how I do it. So having that bit in there, you can just plonk it in there and it's just boom. All right, that's great. I like it. Boom. I'm sold. You sold me on 2 things today. I mean, I was already pre-sold on CloseBot anyway. And now, yeah, excellent. Well, we've got a little bit of time, and I was going to talk to you more about HighLevel, but I think let's tap into your experience as a leader of an organization, of a company. Sort of more personal, I guess, is what is it like to launching and scaling? At what point you felt like giving up, if ever? And what were some of the challenging, things you had to go overcome? Because it's managing people, that sort of stuff. Can you share?
Yeah. My wife, COO, and I laugh about this. Like the people we were 3 years ago when this was starting we were totally different than the people we are now. The person I was 3 years ago couldn't be doing what I am now. It's the journey that whips you into shape for who you need to be in the moment. Just like where I'll be 3 years from now, I'll be a totally different person. I don't know what our team size will be, our annual recurring revenue, challenges we'll be dealing with, but I will be equipped to handle it. So a lot of people sitting there with imposter syndrome, just know that is the feeling of your capabilities stretching.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal to feel that, and it's never going to go away. You're always going to feel like an imposter as long as you're growing. Just keep believing you can do it and pushing through, because on the other side is the next version of you. And I'll tell you a few different times where I felt that way in growing this business. First would have been making our first hire. He's sitting right next to me. He's a friend of mine, someone I was mentoring in code development, and it got busy enough that I couldn't do support and sales and onboarding calls and development and operations. So I needed help on the dev side.
Oh, by the way, can you describe that feeling? How did you feel when you were going through that?
So overwhelmed. That's a point where there was
you feel like the stress, like chest is tight and can't sleep, all that, right? Yeah.
Oh, totally. And it was good I couldn't sleep because I had to check my phone anyway to make sure the code wasn't breaking. So I was waking up anyway, and anytime I woke up, I'd check my phone, and if the code was ever broke, I had to go fix it. Doesn't matter the time. So yeah, that's an awful feeling.
And I just wanted you to share that because guys are listening, oh, he's doing so well. Well, no, we're all going through the same shit, guys.
Everyone. And no one's special. Like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, they went through the same stuff.
Oh, can you imagine what it must have been? Like that's a whole another level of fucking stress. But I mean, the weight of that, like the billion. I mean, I'm just thinking.
But they're different. I like problems I'm facing now. We have 300,000 messages going through our system a week. And am I stressed about that? Yeah. But am I more stressed about that than I was 2 years ago when we were doing 300 messages a week? No, it's about the same stress. I've just like gotten used to it. I've grown. The stress doesn't increase.
Yeah, you get desensitized to it.
Yeah, maybe that's
way.
it. Yeah. Yeah. But bringing on my first hire was one time that was really challenging. Imposter syndrome mentally, because now like the company's success determines whether or not only I can pay my mortgage, but a friend of mine that he can pay his mortgage. And now it's the same kind of stress, even though there are 20 people. It's not more stress, but I'm used to it. That was one time. The other time was raising money. We did a funding round in December this last year. We raised money through friends and family. So seeing friends and family who believed in us enough to put their money into what we were building, that was another time. It was like, okay, these are people I love more than anyone, friends and family and users.
That's really putting yourself on the line, that's for sure.
Right. And even leading up to that, putting us out there and saying, hey, we're raising money. Anyone who believes in us, let's do this. If I had gotten 0 comments, like that was a possibility too, but I had to put myself out there. And then, okay, yeah, right. They are interested. That's cool. Okay, now I'm stressed because I actually have to make this work, and they are willing to put their money on the line. And then after raising the money, okay, now I have this money. Now I know we have to grow really fast. Am I capable of that? Can I lead this many people?
Wow. A lot to lose if it goes wrong.
Yeah, but those are the games worth playing.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know if I could do that. Like capital raise from friends. I mean, like if shit goes wrong, okay, money, you lose money, you declare bankruptcy, and you crawl into a ball and you fall back to your family and friends to build yourself back up. Well,
but the lessons you learn in that process. This isn't the first thing I've done. I started a clothing company. I had a website where people could write blogs in their non-native language, and it would compare the blog with other native speakers of that language because I was super into language learning.
Yeah, right.
I've had tons of different hobbies. All that stuff, for one reason or another, failed, and I learned a lot from it.
Broad experience. I like it. Yeah. Very good. I've had similar journey. I've gone through being a chef and worked for people to launching a fitness business to...
And concrete?
No. Well, yeah, back in Scotland, I was just a labourer working for construction companies.
I mean, still, that's very different.
Yeah.
All the... That's crazy.
Yeah, well, that was crazy because you couldn't sleep. So because if you fall asleep and the concrete dries up, you can't polish it anymore. You've screwed it up, and there's a lot of money in there. So there was a lot of trust in there. But, we had this job once. It was in Edinburgh, close to Edinburgh, and it was raining. And it was this company I worked for. They were massive company called Algo. And they just specialize in building these farm sheds, warehouses, massive showrooms, things like that. And it was like a modular thing. So, always foundation, build it up, put a roof up. As soon as the roof was there, laying out the concrete. But that year, I think they had so many jobs and they were just too money hungry or whatever, that they would be sacrificing on quality. So they'd be, well, we're going to do this one. It doesn't have a roof, and it's a small job, but we're going to get it done. So, you guys go there and do what you need to do. And it was raining. It was pouring. So we got there at 3 afternoon. The rest of the crew was finishing up, washing off because they just poured the concrete. So then we're there, and you stuck a finger in it, and it's like water. Like, holy shit. Well, that's going to be at least 4 hours, 5 hours before we can do anything. So, you fiddle fingers, get nothing to do. So you play poker, drink Red Bulls, I don't know, smoke weed. Well, it's just, yeah. So we would get on, you go to the machine, you go to do the corners, and then also you go to do the surface. So you have these helicopter things that you sit on, and they got these rotors, right? So that's how they brush the surface and it gets smoother, right? I was a new guy, so I was the newbie, so I got the shit job. I got the corners with the little, looks like a mower. So it's just got one, and you got to go around, and then you're gonna get the hand, the steel thing, get on your knees and do all those. So you do that. I'd spend, I don't know, depending on how big the thing is. And you go and sit. You wait 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, depend how wet the conditions are. If it's raining, how quickly the concrete's drying. So you play poker, drink more Red Bull, and you do that for maybe 20 hours. So you cannot sleep.
Jeez.
Yeah, so you take maybe a small nap, and you wake up, and you feel pretty broken. And it's Scotland, it's miserable, and cold, whatever. But yeah, at the end, you leave, and you get this beautiful, smooth, like a mirror surface. You pull out your RC cars that you had in the van, and then do races,
Nice. That sounds fun.
Fun times, yeah. And then I was I got in Scotland. Scotland was enough of 3 years of partying life and doing this, and I wasn't really focusing on anything. And then time was like, it's time. I got to do something in my life. I was 23 at the time. Well, I got to go, do something. A mate of mine was leaving to Australia. I'm like, it sounds nice. Kangaroos, surfing, hot chicks, beautiful weather. Yeah, let's go. Barbecue, beef, good, all that good stuff. Let's go. So I did a transition. I studied a student visa, and I studied fitness, became a personal trainer, started my personal training business. I started also bootcamp business. So I was training groups plus one-on-one. Then I had to continue extending my student visa. So I qualified as massage therapist, diploma of massage, started doing remedial massage, did built some relationship with some sport physios, and then they would send me to like sporting teams to do massage teams for the sport teams. That was interesting. It gets you into environment of like a professional, rugby league or, and you go to their facilities. They got sport and strength and conditioning facilities for millions of dollars. That's normal person cool. Doesn't get there. So that was a really cool experience. And then I got into the space of education. So educating future fitness professionals at a college. Then I got into this because and then throughout the whole time, I built my own website and running my own marketing and very nerdy stuff on the back end. So trying to automate.
That was a slippery slope for you, huh?
Slippery slope. You just go down the rabbit hole. Then you go, somebody's got running a gym that you were just renting out to run your PT business, but then you see their operation. It's kind of like you start to think about how you do it differently, and then you might mention it, and then they might be like, "Oh yeah, you want to do something here," and then before you know it, now you're signing an agreement to manage their gym. So then I got into the space of managing gyms. Then I got into the space of fit outs. So some gyms were like outdated and they needed like a renovate. I'd be like, yeah, cool. That sounds like I might be able to help. So, mind mapping, I knew the vendors, some good, Olympic, powerlifting platforms and rigs and all the providers, put it all in there, map it out, organize all that. Yeah, it's fun. And then obviously CRMs, tech side of things, right? How do we optimize that? So yeah, it was fun. But then, then I discovered HighLevel, and then I was like, oh, it's enough of this waking up at 4 a.m. and going to gym because, it's time constrained type of thing. It's really hard to scale that. So
trading time for money, really, even though you're your own business owner, it's still time for money and not scalable. Yeah. So you did a bunch of stuff, and everything you did led you to where you are now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Experiences, they influence the next thing. Yeah. All right. I haven't shared that story in a while, so there you go.
I loved it.
Wait, we're at the end. Can you believe it?
It was awesome.
That was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And that's what I love about podcasting. You get on an interview with somebody that you may have never heard about, never spoke about. And then towards the end, it's like, I feel like I just spoke to a mate that I've known for a while. So
yeah, not often do you get to sit down and have like personal conversations with someone.
Yeah.
For this long.
Yeah. And now you're creating content. All right. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to put it through my system. And normally what I'm telling you now is what I would say to you outside of recording, but I'm sharing it with the rest of the guys listening because I wanted to know one thing. It's like I really enjoy podcasting because of this, building new relationships and connections and opportunities can happen outside of that later on down the track, right? You never know, but it is certainly has happened. But it's a leverage, massive leverage, right? So now you're gonna have a shit ton of content that you pass on to your team if you wanted to, but I will actually cut it all up through Opus Clip and all that and put it in CSV files so you can bulk upload through your social planner and Bob's your ankle, all those things. And then you might share it. There's no pressure, but you might share it through your audience. Well, that increases discoverability of this podcast, so the listener goes up.
Exactly, because then I tag you, and my community is seeing my face with someone else that they may not know, and they have the link for that. Yeah. So it helps you and me.
Right, exactly.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then if more listeners start to listen to this podcast, that means, and that's one aspect that I don't know why, but I want to have more community contributions of content. So like I've got two segments, right? One is called The Beef, and the other one is like 3 for 3. So The Beef is where we all love high level, but we also have a beef with a particular thing, right? And we're trying to get upvotes on the ideas board, but you cannot promote it through the official high level community on the Facebook group because they take those posts down. And there's a reason for it. Otherwise, there would be too much noise. It would ruin the group. So you have to put it on the ideas board. And then when it gets discovered, people give you upvotes. And I thought, well, what if I give other people opportunity to just go on highlevelexperience.com/thebeef, submit their beef on audio recording, include your link to the ideas board. So you have to have, submitted it. And then here you go. People learn about it. More people learn about it and you get more upvotes. The beef. So by the way, this is an invitation to any of you listening. If you do want to share, and it doesn't, it's called The Beef because it's just a bit of a play on that. But if you got a feature suggestion for high level team, remember there's 700 developers and they got to be able to know which jobs to prioritize. So it's done in this democratic way. It's done based on, upvotes. It just makes total sense. So so if you guys want to submit your suggestion, your beef, head over to highlevelexperience.com/thebeef and do that. And then I will promote it. So that was segue from what we just talked about is what we're doing. It's the power of leverage of podcasts is it goes up in listenership. That means a higher chance of somebody actually contributing these, which benefits me because I've got content, but benefits everybody else because they learn new perspectives as well. So and when it comes to perspectives, the other segment is called 3 for 3, which is 3 short stories, 1 minute each. So you get to share your story as an agency owner about a client that you've helped and what was the benefit as a result of, implementing CloseBot in their business. What was the benefit in a mom and dad type of business that you worked with, helped to. Now they can finally go on holidays because they've not been on holidays for the last 5 years. Things like these are stories that are really like motivating and inspiring. And so if you guys want to get a plug for your agency, do you know what I mean? Like share your story. Short video, 1 minute, selfie style, upload it, highlevelexperience.com/your story. I'll plug it in the episode. I'll mention mention your name. Like just do this. Your name, your agency, who you helped, and maybe some numbers would be helpful.
That's a great
and then
idea.
Everybody wins. Do you have a story to share?
That. Yeah, with CloseBot.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that format, it's Bryce DeCora, founder, CEO of CloseBot. We had an agency owner that in 48 hours was just learning how to set up CloseBot, plugged it in to a new client, didn't know he turned it on. And by morning, they told him, this is awesome. we want to commit to a year with you because it got us 2 clients overnight. And he's like, what did? And they were like, that bot that we set up. And he's like, oh. So he went and checked, and sure enough, those were 2 clients they wouldn't have had. And $80,000 in revenue from 2 clients, because this is a high ticket, like enterprise type IT company.
Wow.
They didn't have a chat widget on their site before, and he helped them do that.
So the bot closed the deal or booked them in for a sales call?
It booked them in for the sales call,
right?
That they then closed.
That was actually one thing I forgot to ask when we were talking about CloseBot earlier. I was going to ask you, like, is there a capability later down the track? Do you foresee that happening where CloseBot could collect credit card details and process payment?
Yeah, eventually we will have like a Stripe type action that you can drag in, that it could conversationally obtain information and charge someone's account.
Security of that becomes super critical.
Yeah.
All right, let's not get. I mean, I'm starting spinning up some ideas. Like, okay, well, working with businesses that deal with government, they have higher, regulation and privacy and data protection rules, and I think we maybe have to do a follow up in a couple of months.
Yeah,
there's more to be told about this stuff, and also you'll be another version of innovation that will happen, because everything. I don't know if you guys I don't know about you and you guys are listening, but doesn't it feel like shit's moving really fast? Like really fast.
Yep. And this is the slowest it'll ever move right now.
Yeah, right. Because the rate of innovation is like an upward curve. It's not, linear at all. It's nuts. All right, Bryce, we're at the end. Mate, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate you sharing your story and providing value to the guys listening. It means a lot. So well done to what you've been able to accomplish, and thank you for building an amazing platform for all of us to leverage and
thank you.
Make shit ton of money with.
That's the goal. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, those of you listening as well, if you got all the way to this point, thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the HighLevel Experience. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would also benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency for your SaaS with HighLevel, please go to HighLevelExperience.com. And if you are in Australia, and hopefully this is released before then, if not, then I apologize. But if it's before then I invite you to come along to Sydney on the following dates: 25th, Sunday, May 25th, all the way through to 27th or Tuesday for SaaSpreneur high-level event.
Yeah.
I'll be there. A bunch of my friends from the community will be there, and some people who are doing really well with SaaSpreneur, such as Sarah Cordiner, who I've interviewed on episode 50 about how she signed up 700 sub-accounts all at once and was going through a world of pain. But, she's one of the biggest SaaSpreneurs, platinum SaaSpreneurs in Australia, sharing, insights and secrets about, how they've done it and how you need to do it so that you scale. I mean, this is invaluable. You honestly will get like the blueprint on what you got to do. So I'm very excited because I'm big on learning and innovating and applying. So I'll be there, and there'll be room for hanging out and drinking some beers. And love any of you guys that are listening that are in Sydney, hang out, catch up, learn. We all benefit, and that's it. Thanks, mate.